The modern professional's life often feels like a treadmill set to a speed just slightly too fast to maintain. There is always another email to answer, another meeting to attend, another fire to put out. This constant, grinding busyness creates a pervasive sense of being overwhelmed, where days, weeks, and months blur into a haze of activity with little tangible progress on the things that truly matter, both in business and in life. It is into this universal experience of entrepreneurial and corporate exhaustion that Dan Martell introduces his profoundly simple yet transformative philosophy in Buy Back Your Time. The book is not merely another time management guide filled with tips on how to squeeze more tasks into your calendar. Instead, it is a radical manifesto on shifting your relationship with time itself, moving from being a mere manager of minutes to becoming a strategic investor of your most precious, non-renewable resource. Martell argues, with compelling clarity and hard-won wisdom from his own roller coaster journey as a multi-time founder and investor, that the ultimate measure of wealth is not the money in your bank account, but the freedom and autonomy you have over your hours and days. The path to this freedom, he insists, is not through working harder, but through a disciplined process of identifying the tasks that drain your energy and unique talents, and systematically buying those hours back by delegating them to others. The entire edifice of Martell's system is built upon a single, powerful concept: your value hour. This is the linchpin, the core metric that changes everything. Your value hour is not what you could earn per hour, nor is it a simple division of your salary by the hours you work. It is a brutally honest assessment of the specific tasks that only you can perform and that generate the highest return for your business or your life. For a CEO, this might be strategic planning, key relationship building, or high-level vision casting. For a freelance designer, it might be the actual act of designing, not the administrative work of invoicing or responding to client emails. Martell pushes the reader to put a specific, numerical dollar amount on this hour. Is it $100 or $500 or $1,000? The act of defining this number is the first crucial step because it transforms abstract time into a concrete financial asset. Once you know that your time is worth, for argument's sake, $300 an hour, every task you do must be evaluated against that benchmark. Spending an hour on a task that could be paid for $25 an hour is no longer just being busy. It is a strategic loss of $275. This reframing is jarring but essential. It forces you to see your daily to-do list not as a list of things to accomplish, but as a portfolio of investments and liabilities. With your value hour defined, the next step in the process is what Martell calls the Delegate Formula. This is the practical engine that drives the entire system. It is a four-step filter you apply to every single task that lands on your plate. The first step is to simply identify the task. Write it down. The second step is to calculate what this task is actually costing you by multiplying the time it takes by your value hour. That 30 minutes spent formatting a document for a $300 per hour executive suddenly has a real cost of $150, making the absurdity of the situation painfully clear. The third and most critical step is to ask the pivotal question: can someone else do this task at 80% of my effectiveness for less than my calculated cost? This 80% is a key insight. Perfectionism is the enemy of delegation. Waiting for someone to do a task exactly as you would is a recipe for staying stuck forever. Martell argues that 80% is often more than good enough, and the freedom you gain is worth the slight dip in perfection. The final step is the action. If the answer is yes, you must delegate or delete the task immediately. This formula is not a one-time exercise. It is a continuous, mindful practice that you must integrate into your daily workflow until it becomes second nature. It is about building a muscle of strategic offloading. Of course, the most common and formidable obstacle to this entire process is the initial investment required. Hiring a virtual assistant, VA, or a part-time employee costs money upfront. This is where Martell introduces another core financial principle: the concept of buying back your time as an investment, not an expense. He guides the reader through the math. Let's say your value hour is $200. You identify 5 hours of low-value tasks per week that you can delegate to a VA who charges $40 per hour. The weekly cost of this delegation is $200. The immediate, simplistic reaction might be, I'm spending $200 to save $200, that's a wash. But this is a flawed calculation. The real gain is not the dollar amount, but the reclamation of your strategic capacity. You are not just saving 5 hours. You are buying back 5 hours of your highest and best use. In those 5 freed up hours, what could you accomplish? You could land one new client, develop a new marketing strategy, or create a product that generates thousands of dollars. The initial $200 investment is the capital you use to purchase the raw material, time, needed to generate exponential returns. Martell is adamant that you must invest first, and the return will follow. This requires a leap of faith and a shift from scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset. It means trusting that your freed up focus and energy will be directed toward activities that will more than cover the cost of your delegation. He often suggests starting small, perhaps with just a few hours a week of a VA's time, to prove the concept to yourself and build confidence in the system. Once you've made the mental and financial commitment to delegate, the book delves deeply into the art and science of doing it effectively. This is where many well-intentioned systems fall apart. Martell provides a robust framework for this, which he often refers to as systematizing before you delegate. You cannot simply hand over a chaotic mess and expect good results. The process begins with what he calls a task audit. For a set period, like a week or two, you meticulously track everything you do. You then categorize these tasks into buckets. Things only you can do, your value hour tasks. Things you shouldn't be doing but are, and things that should just be eliminated entirely. This audit provides the raw data for your delegation plan. The next stage is to create what he terms recipes. This is a brilliant and simple concept. A recipe is a step-by-step, documented process for a recurring task. It's not a vague instruction like handle my inbox. It is a precise guide. Step 1. Log into this email account. Step 2. Apply these 3 filters to sort the emails. Step 3. For emails matching criteria, send this template response. Step 4. For emails matching criteria B, forward them to this folder. Creating these recipes does take an initial time investment, but it pays massive dividends. It makes delegation scalable, reduces errors, and dramatically shortens the training time for any new team member. It turns your unique way of doing things into a transferable asset. The final, and perhaps most nuanced, part of the delegation process is hiring and managing the people who will take on these delegated tasks. Martell draws from his vast experience building teams to offer practical advice. He discusses where to find reliable talent, emphasizing online platforms that specialize in virtual assistants and fractional experts. He guides the reader on how to write a clear job spec that outlines not just the tasks, but the outcomes you desire. The interview process is framed not as an interrogation, but as a mutual discovery to find someone who is not just competent, but also a good cultural fit for your way of working. Management then shifts from a command and control model to a coaching and accountability model. You're no longer the chief doer of all tasks, but the conductor of an orchestra. Your role is to provide clear recipes, the sheet music, set clear expectations for outcomes, and then hold your team accountable through regular check-ins. This frees you from the minutiae of how something is done, allowing you to focus solely on the what and the why. The ultimate goal is to build what he calls a scalable you, a system of people and processes that can operate and grow without your constant, direct involvement in every single task. This is the pinnacle of buying back your time. It's the creation of true operational freedom. The reviews and reception of Buy Back Your Time have been overwhelmingly positive, particularly from the entrepreneurial and small business community for whom the message resonates most deeply. Readers consistently praise the book for its actionable framework. It is not a theoretical treatise. It is a step-by-step playbook. The concept of the value hour is frequently cited as the single most impactful takeaway, a mental model that fundamentally alters how one views their daily work. Many reviewers note that this one idea, properly implemented, paid for the cost of the book and any subsequent delegation investments thousands of times over. The Delegate Formula is also highlighted as a practical tool that cuts through the ambiguity of what to offload. People appreciate that Martell provides a clear, quantitative filter for decision-making, which removes the emotion and guilt often associated with handing off work. Another strength that reviewers celebrate is the book's empathetic tone. Martell is not a productivity guru who has never felt the burn of overwhelm. He openly shares his own story of burnout, financial ruin, and the personal costs of his early, frenetic hustle. This vulnerability makes the advice feel earned and authentic. He is not preaching from an ivory tower. He is a fellow traveler who has found a way out of the maze and is drawing a map for others. His language is straightforward, free of excessive jargon, and filled with relatable anecdotes and examples that make the concepts easy to grasp and apply. However, no book is without its critiques, and by Back Your Time, has a few common points of contention. The most frequent criticism is that the system, while brilliant, has a significant barrier to entry. You need to have some disposable income to start. For a solopreneur who is just starting out or someone in a financial rut, the idea of spending hundreds of dollars a month on a virtual assistant can feel impossible, even with the promise of a future return. Martell's advice to invest first can seem like a privilege only available to those who are already somewhat stable. Some reviewers wished for more strategies for those in the absolute earliest, cash-strapped stages of their journey, perhaps focusing on bartering, ultra-lean delegation, or a more phased approach that requires even less initial capital. A second, more nuanced critique revolved around the potential for over-delegation and the loss of touch. Some readers worry that by systematically outsourcing every task that falls below their value hour, they might lose valuable context about their own business. There's a concern about becoming a leader who is so removed from the operational details that they make decisions in a vacuum. While Martell does touch on the importance of staying connected to key metrics and outcomes, critics feel that the book could do more to address the balance between strategic removal and maintaining a grounded understanding of the business's day-to-day realities. Furthermore, the 80% effectiveness rule, while practical, can be a source of anxiety for perfectionists or in industries where precision is critical. It requires a significant mindset shift to accept that good enough is often better than perfect but done by you. Finally, some have noted that the book is very heavily slanted towards entrepreneurs, business owners, and knowledge workers. While the core principles are universally applicable, the examples and the financial framework are most directly relevant to someone who has a direct link between their focused time and their income. For someone in a traditional salary job with less autonomy, applying the value hour concept to convince a boss to delegate tasks might be a more complex political challenge, an area the book doesn't deeply explore. In conclusion, By Back Your Time by Dan Martell is far more than a book about productivity. It is a philosophical and practical guide to designing a life of freedom and impact. Its greatest strength lies in its powerful, central metaphor. That time is a currency to be strategically invested, not an enemy to be battled. By guiding the reader through the process of calculating their value hour, applying the Delegate Formula, and building a system of recipes and a team to execute them, Martell provides a clear and proven path out of the quagmire of perpetual busyness. The book challenges deep-seated cultural beliefs about hustle, self-reliance, and the virtue of being constantly busy. It argues convincingly that the highest form of productivity is not doing more things yourself, but creating a system that allows you to focus exclusively on the few things that only you can do. While the initial financial investment and the required mindset shift can be hurdles, the overwhelming consensus from those who have implemented its teachings is that the payoff is monumental. It is a book that doesn't just sit on a shelf. It actively works alongside you, pushing you to make the difficult but liberating choices that lead to not just a more profitable business, but a more spacious, intentional, and fulfilling life. It is a compelling invitation to stop being the chief operator of your own burnout and start becoming the strategic architect of your freedom.